Welcome back. This is the Foolish Optimist podcast. I am your host, Amy McDonald. If you're new here, we are on the hunt for the next generation of progressive leaders in the United States. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And if you are feeling really gratuitous, wherever you're listening to this podcast, you can rate and review it. That's a huge help for us. And now on to the fun part. Our guest is Matthew Glover. He is running in a special election for Alabama State House District 12, which is happening October 28th. He is a Coleman County native. He spent most of his life around the Good Hope community and had the pleasure of serving from 2012 to 2016 as a member of the Good Hope City Council. He is hoping to continue his work that he has done in the City Council, working closely with neighbors and business owners and local leaders to ensure that the city is not only up to date, but proactive in its approach to maintaining a vibrant home for people to live and work in. He's committed to strengthening local communities by returning more power to local government from the state, so decisions are made by people who live there and know the community best. So Matthew, thanks for being here. Maybe you could start by telling us why you're running for this seat in 2025.
I appreciate you having me. I was on the Good Hope City Council there, and it really showed me how important politics can be, especially on the local level. And that's one of my big issues in this campaign is returning power to cities and towns. In Alabama, they like to complain a lot about the federal government and their overreach. But the state of Alabama is even worse when it comes to state government controlling local municipalities. So like, for instance, they passed a law that made it illegal to raise a minimum wage in a city. That's insane.
Well, especially when you count cities versus rural communities. Every city, no matter how small it is going to be more expensive to live in.
Well, and also that's where people work a lot of the time. You know, Pullman is right about halfway between Huntsville and Birmingham. So there's a huge percentage of people here that work in Huntsville or they work in Birmingham, commute every day. And not so they look at it like a big city thing, but really it has an effect on people in rural communities as well.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you could talk a little bit more about local politics and specifically what is under the jurisdiction of the state house. Because, you know, the United States, we're a jurisdictional nightmare, frankly.
Yeah. So this is the equivalent of the House of Representatives for the state of Alabama. We have 105 in our House of Representatives. That would be, you know, essentially the same as Congress passing laws and such. And we have some weird rules here, like there's certain things that you can't get done for a county or a city unless you go through Montgomery and the state house, which is just crazy. Like you have to have a full vote of the legislature to pass a local rule. And that's one thing that I want to change. I think communities know best what they need and what works for them, and what works for this community might not work for that community. But there's no reason that within the state law, they can't make rules for themselves. And I'm a big proponent of changing that.
A handful of states are like that, right? My background's in real estate and construction, and Florida has a law on the books saying that if there's not a federal law by 2026, they'll have to make a state law mandating water breaks. But like Miami-Dade County a year and a half ago tried to mandate water breaks, and the state shut it down.
Which is, I mean, is insane.
It's Miami. They need fucking water breaks.
Right. I mean, it's just as bad here. The humidity is almost 100% every.
You guys are in swampy territory.
And I saw, or last I checked, the state of Alabama does not require even a lunch break. So that's just crazy. They require break, but not lunch break. So there's so many things that are not cohesive or copacetic. That's the word I was looking for, with just the general working person. And there's so many things that I feel like we can change if people just start talking about it.
I think that's part of the issue in the local politics world is people don't know how much power you have at the city council level or you have at the state level to dictate our day-to-day lives, right?
Yeah. I would like to say a little more here, but
you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, I would like to see a little more freedom for communities to do that because, while it can run amok, here we are kind of hamstrung on helping everybody.
There's nothing more frustrating than being like, we know what we need to do, and you're not allowing it. Like, I think, especially right now, the vast majority of people in politics actually want to help people, like the people getting into politics. I won't say the same for the people who've been sitting in politics for 30 or 40 years, but I think the people who are getting involved really do want to help people. So it's really a bright spot to hear you say that, right? So maybe you could tell me a little bit about your experience on city council and how you'll use some of those skills at the state house.
Really the biggest thing is just meeting people and hearing their story and understanding where they're coming from and what would be beneficial to them. I think often politicians tell the people what they want them to hear.
You're sounding awfully reasonable and wanting to be a
Yeah.
politician. I don't know. Are we in the upside down? What's happening?
Well,
Okay.
a good segue from there. One of my other biggest issues is direct citizen initiatives because in Alabama, you have to amend the Constitution to change a lot of things. So direct citizen initiatives to amend the state constitution.
Okay.
And that way bypass some of the special interest or all the special interest in Montgomery. Like, for instance, the lottery. We've been they have not allowed us to vote on a lottery in over 20 years. And what happens it comes up every session, but it gets tacked with all this special interest. Some of this money's going to go here. It's going to go there. We can't get just, hey, we're going to do a lottery for education for
Right.
2-year colleges or whatever, just education.
Just
But
one
every
thing.
time the people that have interest in what gambling we allow now always put something on it that derails. And so if we had direct citizen initiatives, we could put a clean lottery bill on the ballot and it would pass, like without a doubt.
Because why
And
not? Right? Like we all love buying our little lottery tickets here and there. And if it's going towards education, you don't feel too bad about it.
absolutely. And that's just one example of what we could do if the citizens had a say, because again, I think most of us agree on a lot of things, but when it gets into the people's hands who are beholden to this donor or that group, then it all falls apart. And I would like to see, well, I'm one of the few people, or I like to say, excuse me, I'm one of the few people that's running for less power as a politician. I would rather the people who elected me make the decision for themselves.
It's really great because I do hear that a lot. And I took a deep sigh because so many people for so long, all they care about is where the money's coming from. They care a lot less about what the people actually need and what will benefit them, which is so frustrating.
Yeah. And with the system in place, a large part of their job is worrying about the next election and raising money for that. The two main Republican opponents of mine raised over $100,000,
And
which is
for reference, you guys have like 50,000 people in this district. I think it's 47.
47. That would make sense. We do have a lot, the city of Coleman, which is by far the biggest area in my district. But yeah, it's insane. Like there's such a
A lot
small,
of money.
not a small office, but for where we live, for them to
Right.
just have $100,000 like that. I mean, I've told people, both of my opponents have spent more on catering in one night than I've raised.
Like, well, and they're not like catering these things for like a massive mobilization with a bunch of citizens. It's for people who are giving them money, right? Like it's not like they did a community dinner and they brought everybody out.
They do to some extent. A lot of it, like one of them took out his supporters to a brewery and bought them pizza and beer. But like my opponent in the election, she would do things like cater the senior lunch at a community center, which is admirable. I can, there's nothing that I can say negatively about that. But having the ability just to throw, a couple $1,000s into catering for one day is a nice luxury to have, I would say.
Well, and it's also like we're talking again about the city's 2,000, and then you have a lot of rural constituents. It's like what would $100,000 You say
So,
$100,000 from each campaign, almost 200 grand. What would that do for the people in District 12? You know?
and I think it's off-putting for people because they report all the expenditures in the local newspaper. I think it's off-putting to see that, even if it is for a good cause. Like, that's a lot of money that, again, like you said, what could we be using that for? And within the community. And it's a barrier for people who would like to get into politics and to serve the people. And they look at that and I could never do it. I don't have $100,000. And I hope that,
I'm not going to ask my family and friends for 100 grand. Like, I can't wrestle that type of cash up. Yeah.
I mean, most people, I would say most people here, like, you couldn't, if you said, could go and figure out a way that you could possibly ask for $100,000.
Right.
Like, you could think of every single person and you wouldn't get there.
Who do I exactly, like, who can I even call at this point? Well, and there's there's the money barrier to entry aspect. And then, of course, something that I've been seeing across Alabama is the lack of support from like the state party and kind of the national party. What I've been seeing mostly for you guys, especially with your neighboring partner race, Alexandria Braswell, she's been telling me a lot about your Democratic county clubs and like groups like that, and how the two of you have been actually working together, because a lot of constituents, maybe, we got mom's family on one side of the line in District 12 and your aunts and uncles are over in District 11. So maybe tell me a little bit about that, how like working together.
Yeah. I mean, that was another thing that made me want to do this, because a special election is the easiest election theoretically to win. And the fact that there was someone in the neighboring district also running who we could, share tips like you learn along the way. It's kind of like, when we were starting to record tonight, we had all the issues. It's one of those things, what if somebody's been down that road before you that can be like, hey, look out for that bump over there. We
don't all have to make all the same mistakes all the time. We can learn from each other.
And, I was just really fortunate in that I had been thinking about running for that seat anyway, but then hearing that there was local party support, there was somebody who could at least, show me the ropes on like filing your financials, which is a big pain.
Another barrier to, it's like, why is this not the simplest thing in the world? We know why. They want wealthy people to run for office. They
want people who can pay someone to handle that for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Not people like me who's filing my own financial reports every month to the state.
Yeah.
But yeah, we haven't had two Democrats running 11 and 12 at the same time since early 2000.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And last year during the presidential election, there was 3 Democrats on the ballot. One of them was Kamala Harris. We have no choices here. And I'm tired of seeing empty ballots. And so
too. I'm pumped. I'm so grateful for you guys for jumping in the ring. I know it's not easy to be the first in 20 or 30 years, but I'm really grateful that you guys are taking the time and the effort to do it again, to give people choices.
I appreciate it. And again, that's my biggest goal, is just to reinvigorate the party. And I haven't, of course, no support from the federal level and very little correspondence with the state party. I would like to have more, but it just hasn't been there yet. Hopefully, as the days draw closer, I will get a little bit more there. They did do a split fundraising with me, and that was definitely helpful. But as far as like regular correspondence, I don't really hear from them.
That's kind of what I've been hearing in some of these southern states, that, I mean, frankly, it feels like the Democratic Party nationally has 8 things on their mind, and it's all the swing states, and they don't care about anybody else. And it's led us down this road of like unopposed races, which is the least democratic thing in the world. We got to give people choice.
And absolutely. We have people who have no idea what like this county is or what the state is, even deciding that's not worth our time. We can't win here, we can't win there. And it's like, well, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy at some point. If you just write it off beforehand, then of course you're not going to win there. I'm in a plus 70 Republican district. Like, it's easy to say, like, there's no reason for me to run. I can't win here. But you never know. I mean, when you go out and you talk to people on a level that no one else does, and you talk about problems that they can identify, like eliminating the grocery tax, like things
Tell me about that. I was going to ask, our next segment is talking about the problems that are keeping your potential constituents up at night. So this is a good segue.
Okay. Yeah, there's several states that don't have taxes on groceries.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that is, especially in a time where we see grocery prices rising and rising, and with few exceptions, lower and middle class are all feeling it.
We're all feeling it. Yeah.
It might not be a huge worry that keeps you up at night if you're doing okay, but like for the most of us, we feel it,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think they actually did, they were trying to, or did pass a 1 cent tax cut on food that I think we can do better.
That feels almost offensive. That feels like that to me. I'm like, you should have just not touched it, you assholes.
Feels very performative,
Right.
So one of my, again, I'm for a complete repeal of the grocery tax, but like, again, something that politicians never mention, like we can go further. We can do whatever we want to do. We can take away taxes on over-the-counter medications, like on prescription eyeglasses, on hygiene, dental care, any of that stuff. And that's where it's not a huge amount at one time. That's stuff that'll very much add up for working class people. Things that will
I'm thinking about these glasses and my last dental work. My last dental work was more than my rent with health insurance. So like, and I live in Brooklyn. So like thinking about the tax on that, I'm like, oh, that would have been huge. I mean, that's great. That would be a great idea.
Just little things that, like, again, I've lived the struggle most of my life. You know what I mean? I've never made a huge amount of money even for this area. And so that's just, when I sit and think of like, what would have helped me? Like, well, being able to get toothpaste tax free, like, because these are things that we need to encourage, not make, come by. And just little things like that. Again, you might like eliminating the grocery tax. That's a tank of gas for the week that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Exactly. Like maybe it's $30, maybe it's 40, God knows how big your family is. Like I'm one of four and I had two older brothers. So our grocery bill growing up was like nasty. Like just, it was bad business. I mean, whew. So like, I'm thinking about any of these bigger families. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And then, and not to mention as far as when it comes to hygiene, over the counter medications, those are things that keep you more healthy.
Yes.
So and vitamins as well. So not only is it money back in your pocket, but it's also saving you money in the long run when it comes to health needs. More and more we see how like closely dental health is tied to overall health. And just a simple,
drives me insane that it's not part of insurance.
And it's insane that it's not. Like, I don't even understand where they were coming from when they decided that, but it's definitely crazy now.
Your eyes and your teeth are not included in your health insurance. Just two of the most important things in our body.
And, I saw a study the other day where dental health is tied to dementia.
Yes. I saw that one too.
Yeah. And the amount of money that will be spent on a patient with dementia compared to the amount of money it would cost to just have good dental health.
Yeah. I mean, it's all interconnected. And when I'm interviewing some of these other politicians that are running at the federal level and they're talking about healthcare, it's like, it is an economic decision to keep people healthy, right? Like there's a lot of people with dementia who would much rather A, not have dementia, but B, also be able to do a job or do something, it's annoying to talk about people in terms of productivity, but like a lot of retired people love picking up little part-time jobs where they get to talk to people and like, just be outside of their house.
Yeah. my mom's retired and she like will, do things like that. Or like she's very interested in like little side jobs, like cleaning a house or
Exactly.
volunteer, you know.
Yeah. My
Um,
dad's the same. He's retired and he started volunteering on political campaign.
oh,
It
nice.
runs in the family. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it makes sense economically, but it also just makes sense as the right thing to do. If we can prevent dementia, which is a horrible thing,
it's like the worst fucking disease that exists.
yeah, I mean, to see a loved one go through that, it's awful. And if it's as simple as providing reasonably priced dental care and
Yeah.
teaching people how to take care of themselves better, like, you know,
What are we
it,
doing here? Yeah.
things like I said, but like it's just so simple.
Yeah. What are some other things keeping the people of District 12 up at night?
Well, the price of everything for one, but also I don't know if it's keeping the majority of people up at night, but it's a very big impending problem. The cuts to Medicaid.
Yes.
So I'm trying to remember the number. I think half the counties in Alabama don't have access to a hospital.
Right.
There are
Right.
something like 35 that are in danger of having to close because of these cuts to Medicaid. And Alabama's one of 10 states that still hasn't expanded Medicaid. So obviously this
And
is
could you do that? Could you expand Medicaid on the state level?
yeah, I'm not sure if it has to go through the governor, if it goes through the legislature. I'm not
But or
positive.
both, a twofer get signed.
Well, I think it works the same as a bill, but
Okay.
yeah, at this point, it's a no-brainer. It's not a political issue. Like expanding Medicaid makes sense. Again, when it comes to dollar and cents, we spend about $163 million on things that would be covered by Medicaid expansion as a state. When you sign up as a new enrollee in state expanded Medicaid with the federal government, they cover 95% of the cost in the first X amount of years. Then it drops down to around 80%. We would still almost break even, if not spend just a small percentage more to expand the availability of Medicaid to everyone in the state, based on the federal guidelines. But these rural hospitals, independent pharmacies, independent doctors, a lot of them take in anywhere from 25 to 50% of their money are Medicaid dollars. And
Right.
so people
Right.
don't think about like, I'm not on Medicaid, that won't affect me. It might. It probably will if you live in a rural area here in Alabama, because I mean, what business can withstand a third to one half of their income disappearing?
Nobody can.
And
That's never in the business plan. That's not, we don't have contingencies for that.
absolutely. And, not only would it take out the rural hospital, but then it takes out the restaurant that popped up across the road because of the hospital, and then
Right.
the doctor's offices that populate the surrounding areas, and the pharmacy that's right there on
All of
it's
a
such
sudden, a local economy is crashed. It's gone.
and then you're looking at hour plus drives for emergency care. It also,
Yeah.
we have a very aged population, and Medicare pays for in-home nursing home care, a
Yeah.
lot of things elderly desperately need, especially again in the rural areas. So now more than ever, we need to expand Medicaid to try to offset what's coming from the awful law has been passed at the federal level.
Yes. Trump's tax cuts. That's the only way I'm referring to it at this point. I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, oh, okay, so you want to steal healthcare from children and elderly people for
And
$4 trillion dollars in tax cuts.
and I understand people who think we should that there's some people that take advantage. I'm not going to say that never happened. Often the people they point at as the model citizens who are on Medicaid are the ones that are working and they're
Right.
earning a living and they're supplementing it with Medicaid. When you cut Medicaid, it's those people that lose coverage. So
Right.
then the government almost incentivizes them to quit their job to get
And
back on.
to game the system.
And that's another thing where it's like, it's so easy to get caught up in party drama, but like these are real issues that we all agree on. And if we
Yeah.
had the opportunity to vote on that ourselves, I think, we could get a lot accomplished here.
And that's what you were referencing when you're talking about like direct.
Right.
Okay. So that would just go to the people to vote rather than
Right. It would be like a petition, a petition
like,
that's like we have to sell alcohol here. Like, so the county I live in, or the county I live in is still dry, technically, but the cities within it are allowed to vote to sell alcohol. So that's how you get it on the ballot. You have to get like 10% of the previous election
right.
number to sign a petition saying you
Yep.
want it. And we can do that with anything. It's pretty simple.
Interesting.
We already have groundwork for it.
Interesting. Well, that's great. I mean, it's nice to know that it's there. And this is the craziest thing about doing this podcast is I'm learning all the intricacies of all of the different states, and everything is so different. So when you and I spoke before the podcast, you also made mention of hemp. And I think this has been a big topic with progressive leaders across Alabama. Maybe you could dive into that a little bit and how that's going to affect your communities.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say I'm proud of being endorsed by the Alabama Cannabis Coalition. So back at the end of the session earlier this year, with about 3 days left, they just crammed through this bill that outlawed what had been a thriving hemp industry. The Farm Bill changed the rules on hemp, and they've had 7 years to really perfect it. And so they rammed this bill through to cut all the flower, all the vapes. It limits the amount of milligrams in a gummy to 10 per gummy and 4 per package, and they have to be individually wrapped. Like, it's the most
am I stupid? Is hemp CBD or is it something different?
Hemp is okay. The best way to put it is Delta 9.
Oh,
Delta 8 is what's legal. Delta 9
okay.
is more. Okay, so let's back up. So what the Farm Bill said is hemp is described as anything that plant has less than 0.03% THC while growing.
Okay.
That's okay. So what they didn't take into account is when you add a heat source to Delta 8, it pretty much just becomes marijuana. Right. So, and
this is what happens when we write bills without talking to people who actually work in the industry.
Right. So the Attorney General here, especially, saw how much money was going into this stuff, and he wanted to go raid places and try to pull like you said, a loophole and say that this is not natural cannabis. That's kind of where the whole argument came from. So anything basically that wasn't taken from the ground, dried and sold, he says is not natural. So he was about to go after all these businesses for selling it. Well, then the legislature pushed this bill through, like I said, limits everything. And the biggest part is we're the only state in the country that classifies hemp as a felony. So if you get caught with any amount of hemp flower, you could face 5+ years in prison.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
While marijuana is a misdemeanor. It makes no sense.
I'm sorry. Let me recant my former statement and put it here. That's the dumbest thing I've ever.
Yes, it is.
Well, and like with certain felony charges in Alabama, it's actually pretty hard to recover your civil liberties, to get your voting rights back. I don't know if hemp's on that list, but like Alabama is one of the most complicated states to get your voting rights back after you get arrested for a felony.
Yeah. I mean, they make you jump through every hoop, especially when it comes to voting. They really look that up when it comes to felonies. But yeah, I mean, they have essentially classified it on the same level as heroin because they just rushed this bill through and none of them knew what they were talking.
Again, it drives me insane. This happens everywhere. It happens in New York. It happens it happens at the federal level. This is why we need experts to talk to people. Like, you're a politician. You're not supposed to be an expert in everything. It's actually not possible. Your brain is not big enough. You can't do it.
Yeah. And that's, a good point on something I'll tell people all the time. Like, I'm not afraid to tell you I don't know. I'm not going to try to BS through an answer and make you and say what you want to hear. I'll just be like, man, I really don't know. And I will do everything I can to educate myself on that and then take your opinion into consideration and make the best decision I can, you know? But
Exactly.
that's,
I'm like, I'll write it down and I'll find an answer, but
yeah. Yeah, politicians try to act like they're somehow like these, above human type figures where, they have all the answers. And that's just not how life works.
no. Well, and then of course we have like the other side of this where the politicians aren't even writing the bills, but like we were talking about corporate interests. The corporate interest groups are writing them, and with politicians literally standing on national television being like, "And read it, sorry," and you're like,
Well,
what?
and especially the book bill in particular, I believe, printed it and called it to a vote within an hour. So it would be
No, like it's
almost
not possible.
right. I mean, it's like a 37-page bill. So you could have technically read it all in an hour, but you couldn't understand everything in there. And if you get you can go to the state website and read the original draft where everything's marked through and the wording, it's atrocious. They spent pages and pages talking about the flavors that could not be sold. I'm like, it's wild. But the whole thing I've referred to as performing open heart surgery with a chainsaw. Like you might get the job, but you're going to cause a lot of damage along the way.
You'll be grateful to know this. I don't know if you know it or not, but the first C-section they performed on a woman literally was basically done with a hand crank chainsaw. No meds. Yeah, yeah. You're not wrong. That's why there's the Schoolhouse Rock song that you don't like, this is how the bill's made. And the running joke is, you don't like two things you don't want to understand how they're made is bills and sausage, right? Because it's all really fucking stupid. And I feel like it's getting stupider. Today's a Monday and I've been a little pissy all day. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what it is. I've just been angry at the dumbness.
It's hard not, I definitely, and also, speaking to your point on that, multiple people who voted for this bill have since come out and said, oh, the bill does this or it does that. And people are like, no, it's the opposite of what you're saying. And they just seem dumbfounded. Like, well, I didn't understand that. It's like,
also, these people have entire teams.
Right.
It's not like they're soloing it out there like alone. That's the thing that really gets me is like when politicians make crazy. But these are politicians coming out and saying like the absolutely wrong thing and like clearly not consulting their team on anything. Like they're what is the word I'm looking for? Extensive, no, whatever. These people that work for them are supposed to be decently smart. The politicians themselves are supposed to be decently smart. I know, air quotes, decently smart. You would think they're politically savvy enough to be like, hey, you probably shouldn't say something like that. So one last question, and then we will wrap up with our 10, it's like 10-ish. It's a however many questions, I feel like, rapid fire questions to get to know you. But you've got 2,000 people in a city. You're between Huntsville and Birmingham?
Yes. Yeah.
But then everybody else is rural. So obviously you have some major different constituency groups. How can you work in Montgomery in the state house to serve all those people? What's your plan?
Yeah. So just to clarify, the city of Good Hope's about 2,000 people. The city of Coleman is much larger than that.
Okay.
It's a bit closer to 30,000.
Oh,
so yeah, a good population center. Yeah. In Coleman City. But yeah, to your point, I think, a lot of the things I'm talking about are things that are issues for people in the city or in the county. Like, going to the grocery store and that bill being a burden. That's the same as, somebody who lives out in the county. Especially in the county, you got to drive further to do it. So
it's even more expensive.
Right. Well, yeah, I think, like I've mentioned throughout the interview, I think most of us in life share more in common than we have different. I think one of my talents or attributes is I'm pretty good at talking to anybody. Like I can talk to
Mhm.
a millionaire that owns the company I work for, or I can talk to like, dude at Walmart who's just in buying whatever, you know what I mean? Like I've
Right.
always been pretty good at just being able to strike up a conversation, find commonalities with people. And I think, or I hope that while people might not always agree with my opinion, I think that I do a good job of proving that I only have the best in my heart for people. And like I said, you might not always agree with it, but I think most people would agree that I'm doing it from an honest place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's important. I mean, I think rebuilding trust in our politicians and our political institutions is integral. And so, like, for me, that's kind of why I started this podcast is I needed a little bit of hope. I needed to talk to like regular people who actually cared about the people they wanted to serve. And it's been really nice. I realized I don't really know what you do for work. Would you be able to keep your job, or is this a part-time thing, or is this a full-time thing?
Oh, and I would only be elected for a year. So, I mean, if I
Oh,
were to be
okay.
elected, I would have to file to run for reelection within 2 months to start this all over again. and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it is a part-time job, and especially considering I'm only guaranteed a year, that would only take up 3 or 4 months as far as
Okay.
session. And that doesn't mean they're always active. That just means that's,
They could
once.
call you and you might have to show
So
up.
yeah, and it all depends on if they have both scheduled or if it's
Mhm.
committees, what's going on. I think worst case scenario, I could take a leave of absence from work if I had to. I would like to think that my employer would be proud of having a state
Yeah.
elected official working there and not, be too much of a problem. But I work for a poultry company and we have our own mechanic shop to work on the equipment, the vehicles at the poultry company, and I'm parts manager. So I order like parts, for chicken buses or egg truck,
Not the
18 wheelers,
chicken buses.
yeah, yeah,
They're-
the 18
uh,
wheelers to carry the feed, all that stuff. And Coleman County was the chicken capital of America at one point. Like we had raised more chickens on average than any other county in the country. So
I
it's,
have this like horrific childhood memory. We were in South Carolina and I saw a chicken bus. I saw them all lining up and I was so excited. And then they turned into the Purdue chicken plant. It was like it was like where they were all going to die.
this will ease your nerves or your guilt a little. Any of them on the bus are going either are babies or they're going to a farm. They
Okay.
don't.
They were turning into the Purdue Center, and I have two older brothers, so they obviously were like, they're all going to get murdered, and you're gonna eat one, you know?
I will say I've never seen grown chickens collected on a bus. Typically, that's for the infants.
The babies. Oh, that's so cute. Okay. Are you ready for our rapid fire questions?
Ready as I'll ever be. Anyway,
All right. Are you a cat or a dog person?
either way, I love dogs, but I've had more cats than dogs in my life. So currently, I have 2 dogs. So
I'm gonna speculate and say you're a cat person. I've come to terms with the fact that dog people are dog people, but cat people are cat and dog people.
fair. I mean that.
That's
Yeah,
my non-scientific observation for you. You can take that one with you. What are your dog's names?
Dusty and Rubble because I'm a big fan of Paw Patrol. And Dusty is a gold doodle, and Rubble is what I like to call a Walmart dog.
Did you find it
Some
in the
people
parking lot of Walmart?
are giving them away at Walmart
Yeah.
in the park.
Yep. Yep. I'm from North Carolina originally. We have literally my friend's dog's name was 7-Eleven growing up because that's where they found her. So, when you are trying to communicate with people, do you text or do you pick up the phone and call them?
99% of the time I'm going to text because, like, I to me, if you're going to call somebody, you okay that first, big
Usually it's
millennial.
a text to be like, hey, I'm going to call
Yeah.
you. You good? Yeah.
Well, if I call, yeah. That's one thing I'm very millennial on. I would much rather communicate by text. And when, like, I see a name pop up and I'm like, well, this could be a text, man. What are we doing?
I've had to have very serious conversations with both of my parents who are boomers, and they like called me double call, and I'm calling them back like, who's dead? Like I got
Right.
two missed direct back to back 2 missed calls, and they're like, oh, sorry, no, it's just calling. We're in the car on the way to Costco. Just wanted to check in.
Yeah. That's
So I'm like,
one. Like, you don't understand what this means to us. You know?
Yeah, you really don't. What is the last movie that you saw?
Ooh, God.
Doesn't have to be
Um,
in theaters, just the last one you watched.
it would be in theaters would be the most recent Ghostbusters, but I'm much more of a TV person. So
Okay.
I like watch a lot of TV shows. But yeah, I saw the most recent Ghostbusters in theaters. So,
I
and
don't
I'm
even
planning to go
remember
see.
when that came out.
It was summer of last year. So
Okay.
I am planning to see the new Downton Abbey movie in theaters when it.
Yeah,
Big fan.
I mean, that's an extension of good. That's really good television. I mean,
Yes.
Downton Abbey is really good television. What's your favorite TV show?
Of all time, 6 Feet Under. It was on
Oh,
eight
I remember that.
2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
How,
got the best finale of any show of all time. And they
okay.
covered a lot of issues in that show. Like, it really helped me deal with like my fears about death a lot. You know, because
Right. Because it's 6 feet under. It's about people dying
it's about a family
assumptively.
life. And so you see all the walks of life, and you kind of, I don't know, it does a really good job of portraying it, and it was a very progressive show for the time as well.
That's also the heyday of HBO, right? Like, to me, there was a time period where HBO was just churning out such good television. I mean, it kind of, to me, kind of ended with like the Battle of the Bastards episode of Game of Thrones.
Right. See, my three favorite shows are The Sopranos, 6 Feet Under, and Dead, which was
And those
they
are
were all
all HBO Prime. That's prime
and right,
time.
yeah, all on at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. I mean, The Sopranos is fabulous. I've never seen 6 Feet Under, nor have I ever seen Deadwood, but your characterization of the finale makes me want to watch it because so many TV shows end so poorly.
Like, it's so good. I mean, to me, there's almost nothing that can compare to it. And good Lord, have the Kleenex ready.
Oh, gosh.
Because it
Okay.
is, I wept. That's the way I always describe it to people. I didn't cry. I was weeping. You know, it just
No.
had.
I'm a weeper. I get that. What do you do when you need to like calm down? If you're like really worked up, what is your way to calm down?
It's a good question. Maybe the fact that I can't think of anything is not a good. I try to, I don't know if I just dropped on your end or not.
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Um, yeah, I don't know what happened there, but no, I mean, I typically don't get that upset about much. I get road rage a little bit. So when
Who
that
among
happens,
us doesn't?
I just try to take a breath and be like, look, that was annoying with that person and or deadly, but
That's the thing. It's like that was annoying, or you literally almost hit me on a face forward collision. You fuck
well,
with.
I think that's one thing people don't take seriously enough, like what your actions on the road can cause. Even
Yeah.
still, it nothing happened. I'm okay. Like at the end of the day, what's me getting upset about it gonna do? Just try to
Right.
to be reasonable with myself.
That's key. Being reasonable. And that's also, I feel like, just part of adulthood, right? Like when I say we because I think we're about the same age. When we're younger, it was much harder to control our emotions and like be reasonable with ourselves, right? Like
Uh,
it really was. Okay, last question. What is your favorite thing about Alabama State House District number 12?
I mean, it's a great place to live. It's a small city that has really good access to Birmingham and Huntsville, as I mentioned. 2.5 hours to Nashville, 3 hours to Atlanta. Like we have some of the most beautiful scenery of anywhere in the country. We're right at the southwestern tip of the Appalachian Mountains. So we're
Yeah.
technically Appalachia, and it just, we have such variation in landscape as far as the mountains. And then we also have a little bit of the flat, more mountainous. The outdoors here are great when it's not 112 and sweltering and mosquitoes are eating you. But, we get a bad rap a lot for the type of people that live here. And people may say or think whatever, but when it comes to the community coming together, like we had a tornado hit us in 2011,
Right.
and I've never seen more community than in the aftermath we had. People came together to help each other cut trees off their property, to help them rebuild, just to provide just food for people because we didn't eat a week. You
Right,
know,
right.
people was out of the woodwork doing anything they could to help each other. And I feel like that's who we are at a core. But I think that a lot of us have been poisoned with the, the negativity of politics. And I want to prove that's not how it's being. People like us can come together and make an Alabama that works for everybody from the bottom to the top. And I believe that we have more in common again than we don't. And if we could all just put our differences aside, we could make a lot of difference on the things we agree on.
Well, hot damn. That's a great place to wrap things up. I really like that positive note. Guys, again, this is Matthew Glover running for Alabama State House District number 12 with a special election on October 28th. You could follow along with his campaign at facebook.com/Matthew Glover. And if you are in the 12th district, you get the special election. As the other special election, we're recording this on August 25th. The other special election is tomorrow.
Fingers crossed, Prout. I really hope things go well. Just don't forget, October 28th, come out and vote again, hopefully for me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Thank you for following The Foolish Optimist. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, pretty much. We're going to be dropping new episodes every Wednesday, and you can watch the video episodes on YouTube. If you would like to, please give us a review, leave comments. You can also email us at thefoolishoptimistpodcast@gmail.com. If you see any really great candidates that I should be talking to, send them my way. Thank you.